Alright, this is the second part of our tutorial on functions in C++, and this is actually where we stopped from the previous tutorial, and we actually wrote this function. The function we wrote is named sayHello, and the return type is void, meaning that after this function executes, we don't expect it to return anything. What I would like to do is to just go ahead to run it again. Let's see, run as local C++ application. And right here, it displays the output. The first one is a functions tutorial from the main program, and then it calls the say hello. What I'm going to do now is to move this function to the lower part of the program. So let me place it here, and let's see what happens. So even at now, it's giving us this compile time error, meaning that it doesn't work. So if I go ahead to run it, it's going to give us an error saying that it says function tutorial error say hello was not declared. So what it means is that it is not able to see this function because it's running sequentially line by line. So when it gets to this place and it sees this function, it's confused. It says, oh, where is this function? I did not see this function as I was executing. So it actually expects this function to be before its call. It has to be defined before it is called. Otherwise, it has to be declared before it is called. So let me clarify. It has to be declared or defined. So what we have here is the function definition. Since the function definition is here, we can just put the declaration in the initial part of the program. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to tell the compiler that, look, we have a function we would like you to use. That function is somewhere else, but that function is existing. We promise you this function is there. So to declare a function, simply specify the return type and then the name of the function, and then that's all. So in this way, the compiler now knows that there is a function called sayHello that is going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to build this project, and then I'll go ahead to run it. Okay, it says void. It says well. Okay, so let's project build all. Okay, I'm still going to run it. So run it. So at this point, it also runs successfully. So what we did here is declaration. So when we specify something like this, it's called function declaration. Just the same way you declare a variable before you use. So for instance, if you say declare a variable, you can say int a. So you declare this variable, but you are not using it. But if you say a is equal to let's say 9, in this case you are now using this variable. So the first one, you are telling the compiler that, see, we have a function or a variable we would like you to use. So in this place we have, this is function, the definition. So the definition is made up of the first part of the function and also the function body. All right, so let's now let's write a function that actually performs some calculation. Let's write a function that returns the sum of two numbers. So this function is going to take two numbers and then it's going to give us the sum. So let's follow our method. So this function is going to return, let's say, an integer. So we are declaring this function to return an integer, and we are going to call it sum, right? And it's going to take an integer value of a and another integer value of b. So what we are saying is that we have a function called sum, and this function is going to require that the user provides an integer a and an integer b, and then it returns sum. So the way it returns sum is using a return statement. So let's actually write this function to see how it goes. So in writing this function, I'll teach you something new, how to get an input from a user. So let's say void sum, and we are saying int a. So the same way you declare it, int b, and then we are ready to write the function body. I can actually make this shorter by putting this brace, this opening brace here. So to be able to get an input from the user, you simply say cin. So this is how you get an input from a user. Cin A, cin B. So to make it a bit clearer, I'm going to give a prompt that says please enter a number. So cout, I'm going to say please enter the first number, okay, and then if he enters the first number, I'm going to now say I'm going to prompt for entering the second number. Please enter the second number. And now I'm going to return the sum by just saying return A plus B. So this is a complete function that returns A plus B, but you see an error here. The reason is because we are saying that the function is void here, but we are putting a return statement. So let's make it to return an integer. So just say int. All right, so I'm going to now use this function in the main program. So let's take out the say hello, and then let's try to say let's call this function. Let's just say sum, and then let's say because the sum takes does it take a and b? No. Let's assume it doesn't take a and b. This a and b actually comes from the user. All right, so okay, so let's declare int a and b, right? So the a and b comes from the user. Maybe we can modify it to take two parameters that does not come from the user. So going to end with semicolon. Semicolon, you use it to end all your lines. So at this point, our function is being written, and then we are going to call it at this point. So let's make it a bit fancy by saying cout let's see, return a and b. Okay, so cout, let's just say something. The sum is, and at this point I'm going to say plus, I'm going to say sum. This I think might look a bit confusing to you, but it's actually it should be very clear. You should take some time to look at it. So we are saying cout, the sum is, and then this sum is going to take two inputs from the user and calculate the sum automatically and display it for us. So if everything goes well, we will be fortunate that it runs. So first I'm going to build project. Everything builds fine. I'm going to run this project by saying run as local C++ application. And so it tells us enter the first number, as you can see. So let me enter 20. Enter the second number, 30. So you can see it says the sum is 50. So the reason it's saying the sum is 50 is because it calculates the sum and returns it to us. So that is basically how to write a function in C++, and it returns a value. Let's now modify this function a bit to not take an input from a user. It simply takes two inputs as parameters and then returns the sum. So let's just take out this. I'm going to maybe comment this out. So instead of deleting this, I'm going to comment it. And to comment everything between a block, simply use this here. So between the two extremes, use slash star and star slash. So this function is going to, in the declaration, let's go back to the declaration and let's make sure it takes two parameters, int a, int b, right? Good. So in the body of the function, we simply say return A plus B. That is what we are going to do. All right. So we just say return A plus B. So also in this place, we are saying int A, int B. So at this point, it's going to just return A and B. So in the function call at this point, we are going to just give it two numbers. Let's say 40 and 20, and then it's going to return A and B. So let's just run it and see exactly if it works. So we are expecting it to give us the sum of 40 plus 20. So I'm going to just come here and say run as, and just I'm going to say run as local C++ application, and if everything goes fine, it's going to say the sum is 60, as you can see right here. So I'm going to stop at this point, and then in the next tutorial we now do conditional statements in C++. I'd like to thank you for viewing. Remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed to my channel, and also leave a comment to let me know if you observe something you would like me to work on or explain a little bit more.